Hello everyone, I'm so glad you could join us today. My name is Evgeny and I'm presenting AheadWorks team. Today we will talk about how to install SyncFeeds, a builder application to Adobe Commerce. We will cover two versions of Adobe Commerce in this video tutorial. Adobe Commerce as a cloud service, ACCS, and of course traditional Adobe Commerce on premises and on cloud. All right, let's dive in and get started. Okay, first up, we need to grab SyncFeeds a builder application from Adobe Exchange. After you've acquired it, please go ahead to Adobe Exchange to the listing of your purchased apps, and our SyncFeeds should be listed on this page. Uh, please go ahead to detail page of the application and hit the download code button. Once downloaded, please extract the archive anywhere on your computer. Inside the application archive, there is a README file we can follow. Let's open it up and check the technical requirements. This file has a prerequisites section with two things for verification before we actually install the app. Your local Node.js version must be at least 20. And also Adobe I/O CLI NPM package needs to be installed and available globally. This package is not included in the app itself, but it's essential for integrating with Adobe I/O services. Let me check this on my setup and you can do the same on yours. Firstly, let me check Node.js version. In my case, it is 24. It's more than enough for our application. And let me install Adobe I/O CLI tool globally. As you can see, all packages were installed correctly, so we are good to go. All right, now we are ready to create a project in Adobe Developer Console. Please go ahead and open the console, sign in with your account, and make sure you select the right organization you're working with. Name of your organization will be shown on the top, so you will never miss it. And in the quick start section, you will see button called create project from template. That's exactly what we are looking for. Please click the button, select create an app from app builder template, and you will be asked to title your application, but don't worry, it's only for internal use. In our case, the title will be SyncFeeds, and also app name is usually left as is. It is automatically unique within your Adobe I/O namespace. We will go with two workspaces, production and stage by default, and we will definitely need runtimes set up for both. Please click Save. That's it. Project was successfully installed and configured. Our SyncFeeds application will be generating event providers for receiving data updates from Adobe Commerce. And to enable this functionality, we will need to include a few API services to the project configuration. In my example, I will be using Stage Workspace, but absolutely feel free to use production if you'd like. All right, let's go to Stage Workspace. Hit the button Add Service API. Select I/O Management API. and click Next to continue. Since Adobe I/O requires IMS, Adobe Identity Management System authentication, you will be prompted to create WoW server-to-server credentials. And just click Save Configured API. That's it. Our API was configured successfully. Let's go back to Stage Workspace. Since our app builder application can also connect to PAAS classic version of Adobe Commerce, there is one more API we need to add. Let's do this exercise again. Let's go to our workspace, add service, API, and choose Adobe I/O events for Adobe Commerce. And click Next. We will be utilizing already existing credentials. That's it. Now we are all set. Now the project in Adobe Developer Console is ready to go, and it's time to configure env variables in our application. In your terminal, please switch to directory with your unzipped app and clear the files. You will see there is already env.dist predefined configuration file with all environmental variables. Let's make a copy of this file into .env and let's take a look what inside. So the only variables we have to take attention to in this configuration file, there is commerce base URL, and this is required variable and must point to the base URL for all REST queries to your Adobe Commerce. In my case, it's gonna be like that. And commerce front URL will be used during feed generation and can stay optional, and you can leave it empty if you want. We have already created server-to-server IMS credentials in our console project for integrating with Adobe I/O services. And now we will be connecting Adobe Commerce on premises with App Builder app by integration token. For that purpose, we will navigate to our admin panel of our Commerce to system integrations, and we will create new integration by clicking the button Add New Integration. Let's name it as SyncFeeds integration and allow all APIs to execute, and click Save. And also let me verify my IMS identity. Click Save again. Okay, once saved, please don't forget to activate this integration. And we'll get all details that must be placed into .env configuration file in the app to connect these parts with each other. Let me open my env configuration file and copy all these credentials on my end, and you can do the same on yours. For PAAS integration, we must to fill consumer key, consumer secret, access token, and access token secret, and click Save. Also, after copying, please navigate to Stores Configuration services, WOWs, and make sure the access tokens are allowed to be used standalone. If not, please change the select to yes and save config. All right, once we finished all technical preparations for now, it's time to actually push our app to Adobe I/O. Firstly, please go to folder where you installed your app and run npm install. This command will download all npm dependencies for your project. Next, we have to authorize ourselves in Adobe I/O and merge Adobe's configuration with ours. And it can be done by following commands. Firstly, Adobe I/O login. Next one is Adobe I/O console organization select. Project select. Workspace select. Please remember that we are working with stage workspace, not production. And finally, the last command to actual merging configuration from Adobe to ours. Adobe I/O app use merge. So yes, congratulations. We are all set to for deploying our app, and it can be done by Adobe I/O app deploy. As you can see, it was successful deployment without any exceptions or errors, and also runtime actions were created without any problem. Especially for Adobe Commerce on premises, there is one thing that must be verified to get event updates to come actually through. At the admin panel, please go to configuration, to stores configuration, Adobe services, Adobe I/O events, and the content of downloaded configuration file on previous tab from our console project. This JSON must be saved in the Adobe I/O workspace configuration. And also, please make sure that commerce events are enabled for your environment. Merchant ID and environment ID can be any values on your choice. And also for testing connection, hit the button send test event and make sure it was successful. So guys, now as the last part of our SyncFeeds app installation, let's go to our Adobe Commerce admin, to stores configuration, and select Adobe Services, admin UI SDK. On this page, please make sure that admin UI SDK is enabled for your instance. That's very important requirement for our integration. And then let's go to apps, app management, and click associate app for choosing your project in Adobe Developer Console you want to attach to the instance. Please select your project and workspace and click Associate. After that, your application will appear in the listing with install button for actual installation of events and admin UI SDK registrations. Please go ahead and do actual installation. Click install. Once installation is successfully completed, let's go back to Adobe Commerce admin panel, refresh the page, and you will see new point in the menu, My Product Feeds, catalog My Product Feeds. Let's go there. Yeah, and our application is ready to use. Enjoy the app.